In yoga, we spend a lot of time looking inwards. We ask ourselves that question, who am I? What am I? And we feel that the aim of yoga is to go further and further into ourself, that we want to find that inner peace, that inner serenity, that inner sense of samadhi and bliss. But of course, what we have to remember is that in a journey through life, that there are also the things that we leave behind. There are the sidestep, the detours, all those other things that affect that journey that we're making. And it's a very important aspect of yoga that we should try to be aware of, that there is this outer world, there is this outer environment. And we learn an awful lot of how we can approach that from what we've already done when we've looked at ourselves, when we've tried to think of who am I, when we've tried to analyse, is this the real self that I'm portraying, or is this an assumed persona? In the same way, when we create our own sacred space, we discover that that sacred space can be very, very simple. In fact, in many ways, the more simple it is, the more meaningful it becomes, the more intense the flavour when it's not distracted by other side flavours. So what we learn from looking into ourselves, what we learn by learning about ourselves, we also can use those skills to look outwards and to begin to analyse that external environment that we inhabit. And we have many teachers that we can call upon to help us with that.
पूर्णस्य वाहनं कुत्र सर्वाधारस्य चासनं स्वच्छस्य पाद्यमर्घ्यं च शुद्धस्याचमनम्.
If we use our own journeying to go inwards and to find that connection at the end of that journey, when we realise that we are not just an isolated island, but that we are in fact a part of that link with the universe, with eternity, with everything that is, that was and ever will be. But when we're taking the journey outwards, we may think it's easier, and probably it is to begin with, because first of all, when we make that journey, we have a physical body that can make the journey for us. We can walk, we can run, we can look up into the stars, and we can look down into the earth. We can feel, our fingers can feel the textures of water and snow and frost and hard rocks. And so these senses that we have, we need to learn to use those. And this is one of the first things to do on this outward journey, to hone the senses and not just the muscles, to hone the vision, to see beyond what is obvious, to listen, to really hone that sense of hearing, to listen beyond the obvious sounds, to cut out the extraneous sounds. And we can learn to do that, and very effectively, when we stop hearing the chatter of normal life, when we stop being bombarded by the sounds of traffic and engines and electrical goods, whether it be televisions or whatever. We can go beyond them, and we can start to listen for the song of birds. We can start to hear the wind. We can start to hear the sound of the rain. And we can smell. We can touch. And then we can express it. And we can go to those people who can express these sensations particularly well, particularly strongly. And I think the words of one of the 12th century spiritual luminaries was Hildegard of Bingen, who lived between about 1088 and 1179. And one of the pieces of writing that I particularly love of hers are these words. I am that great and fiery force, sparkling in everything that lives, in shining of the river's course, in greening grass that glory gives. I shine in glitter on the seas, in burning sun, in moon and stars, in unseen wind, in verdant trees. I breathe within, both near and far. And where I breathe there is no death, and meadows glow with beauties rife. I am in all the Spirit's breath, the thundered word, for I am life. So when we start this journey, we become pilgrims along the way. And then I think we can go to another writer, someone who really expressed what this is all about, this journey that we're making in our lives. And those are the words of John Bunyan and the poem that has become a well-known hymn of the Pilgrim. And he says, "Who would true valour see, let him come hither. One here will constant be, come wind, come weather. There's no discouragement shall make him once relent his first avowed intent to be a pilgrim. Whoso beset him round with dismal stories do but themselves confound, his strength the more is. No lion can him fright, he'll with a giant fight, but he will have a right to be a pilgrim. Hobgoblin nor foul fiend can daunt his spirit. He knows he at the end shall life inherit. Then fancies fly away. He'll fear not what men say. He'll labour night and day to be a pilgrim. Be a pilgrim.